Hey, good morning. Yes, it is. It is Saturday, and it's the 28th of September, right? Yep. So, what are we going to talk about today? Well, I thought we'd kind of round out the week with what we did during the week. So, stay tuned. Alrighty, welcome back. My name is Eric, and yes, this is the weekend. This is Saturday. We have a weekday show, Monday through Friday. Pretty much stays on track of business and stuff like that. But on the weekends, I kind of do whatever, right? And sometimes it's personal development, sometimes it's just plain common sense, right? So when I say wrapping up the week, I mean, you know, you have two choices in life. You can either bitch and complain. I mean, that's the easy thing to do. Or you can put on your big boy pants and do what you got to do, right? And to run any business or even to have run a household, to try to get things done, you have to have a plan of attack. And what I see that the video yesterday was trying to show you that no matter what you face in life, you got to look at it. You know, what do they say? The cup half full, half empty type thing, and where you're at and you're thinking. Don't don't get me wrong. We all have our down days where we just say screw it. I ain't doing it today. Too bad. I'm not gonna deal with it, and that's okay. But I've seen people take and do that for weeks and months, and think that if they don't deal with it and don't do anything about it, it'll just go away. And for some things, that's true. For some things like that, a family member feels you did them wrong by saying something honest. I mean, I'm not the type of person that would come out and honestly say something honest to hurt your feelings, especially in front of anybody. But if I thought that you needed a swift kick in the ass, I'd be the first one to pull you aside and say, look, get your shit together. Really. Enough is enough. Now, if it's like a light bill that's $200 and you're sitting there crying at your kitchen table trying to figure out how to come up with $200 for your light bill, and you're buying your coffee at the local coffee shop every morning at $3 to $4 a cup, you're eating out during lunch that's costing you $14, $15. You're going on joyrides with your vehicle at the gas of almost $4 a gallon. I mean, where there's a will, there's a way. Now, this isn't to get down on the down and out. This is to get down on the ones that tell me there's no other way that they can do it. And then I watch what they're doing. And it's simply changing your frame of mind, right? There are ways. It's just that you're not willing to do it. That's simply put. You're not willing to give up your cappuccino in the morning, and you're not willing to give up your fast food McDonald's for lunch. Now, for years, I've always had a pot of perk coffee. I carry a thermos. I don't stop at my local Stewart shop or wherever and get coffee. Can I afford to? Yes. Do I need to? No. I haven't eaten lunch in 20 years. I don't eat breakfast. in over 20 years. I usually have one meal a day, and that's dinner. But even if you wanted breakfast, lunch, and dinner, when I worked at the mines, I used to carry a lunch pail, and I had a bologna sandwich in it, usually a ho-ho, and that was it. And if you go buy the bologna, buy the bread, a box of ho-hos, and divide that by 5 days, how much are you spending for lunch? A couple bucks versus 15. Now, let's just take that. That's $13 a day. You have 30 days, 28 to 30 days in a month, right? Let's round it to $10 a day that you're saving. Would you say in 20 days you'd have $200 to pay your light bill? It's priorities. Prioritizing what your needs are. It's making the decision to do something about it instead of doing nothing. See, now in the shop, I could bitch and complain, which I do on occasion. Everybody does, right? But at the end of the day, I have to put my big boy pants on and say, you know what? This is a friggin' business. This is not a charity event of where the customer tells me they want an aftermarket part to save them $600. And when there's complications, I shouldn't charge them for the complications of going that direction? Screw that. Honestly, screw it. If they would have gone with the OEM pump, would it have solved everything? I'm sure it would have. But, so what are you going to do about it? Well, for one, I can get a refund on that pump because that pump is only a couple weeks old. And there's a 30-day policy and a 1-year warranty through the seller. Now, yes, now it's getting labor intensified, right? Because on that little Kubota, we end up having to split it for the rear main seal, check the clutch, pressure plate, put in a soft plug where it was leaking oil, and with the pump blowing, he never said there was a problem with the pump when it came in. That tractor was ready to go home. And is it on us because we didn't realize he had 2 lines capped? No. Why should it be? He put the 2 caps on the line. The minute Claude revved it up, there was the pressure deadheaded, and it blew his pump. Who is that on? Well, Claude should have known that those caps... No, he wouldn't have. If you bring us something that you've already had your hands on, you know, especially lawnmowers and that stuff, you bring it in a box and you expect us to put it back together for a little bit of nothing? I've even got so I'm turning away box lots. Bring it to us when you have a problem before you turn a wrench on it so that we can do our checks. And it may end up being something simple. Bring it to us in a box, and that's where it gets expensive. Because now we have to bring up schematics and on certain things and put it back together. Most things we don't. We do it enough so we know where everything goes. But if I brought a box lot to you and you were a mechanic that worked on that unit all the time, just think of the labor that it would produce, right? So the customer with the Kubota is going to have to eat the labor of tearing that pump out again, ordering another one, and putting it on. If he chooses to go with another aftermarket, we'll put it on for him. But he has to understand that this is now getting labor intensive. We saved you money on the clutch and PTO and pressure plate. because he was concerned about that. So a lot of shops, like Claude says, we need to start, if we split that, we need to start putting in brand new pressure plates, clutches, everything, whether it needs it or not. And I said, no, we're not going to be that shop. We're not. If it doesn't need, and it doesn't need to be fixed, don't fix it. Well, what if it goes before we get ready to send it home? Well, shit happens, and we deal with it, right? Same thing with the 401B. Customer wanted that aftermarket pump, transmission pump. But I'm still not 100% certain that that's the issue. It could be a spacing issue on that gear to gear. This making that rattle. She runs, drives, and shifts and does everything it's supposed to do. It just got loud. It was running really nice and quiet. And when he got about a mile up the road, something let loose and it started making a growling noise. So, could it be the way those gears are messing? Yeah. Could also be a bearing somewhere that's going. He thought he knew clutch pressure plate. We took the new clutch pressure plate out. The old one, clutch is hardly worn. The pressure plate looks fine except for where it's got some, is loose on the rivets now, and I think it's a causal effect. That what caused that was what was back inside that transmission shaft. Again, if we make a mistake and we screw something up, that's one thing. But if we put it all back together and something else goes wrong, and it wasn't anything that we had done, yes, you're going to get billed for it. You have to make a living. So that brings us back to just anything in life. Is like knowing that how you feel cannot be controlled by anybody else. People calling you names or saying things that upset you, and then you blaming them. See, God give us a chance to make up our own minds and on how we think and feel, right? In the direction that we want to go. And if somebody says something harsh to you, you still have a choice of taking it to heart and maybe ruining the rest of your day, or listen to hearing them out, but not going to let that affect the rest of your day, right? And we talked about things that when you're doing something and all of a sudden you start using the words always, never, this always goes wrong. I never get a break. And we have all those moments, all of us. God gave us that to whine every so often. But in the end, you have to put your big boy or big girl pants on and just simply say, either I don't care, I'm going to enjoy the rest of the day. And if somebody has said it out of spite, because they're mad at you, the best way to get them back is to enjoy the rest of the day. Just because they have something to say does not mean it's true. Does not make it factual. A lot of times, if somebody says something that makes you feel bad, it's because you were already thinking that, and they just reinforced your thinking, is what I found, at least when it relates to me. If I'm feeling like crapola and this and that, and somebody adds to it, it just reinforces it, right? But you catch me on a good day and you say the same thing, that's not going to resonate. That's just going to bounce off me like Superman, right? Because I'm not in that state and I don't feel that way about myself. And everybody else is entitled to their own opinion. And you get to pick and choose who you have for friends. You can't do that for family. But you can for friends. And family, I'll tell you one thing right now. If your family causes a lot of problems. Limiting your exposure and your family's exposure to your family is okay. You don't need a lot of drama in your life. God give us enough drama in our life on a day-to-day basis instead of having to go look for more. See, I've never been a person that likes drama or drama queens. And a drama queen can be a guy or a gal, right? But drama is basically, to me anyways, a made-up bullshit crap to get, what do they call it, stirring the pot. And I've always been a firm believer. My grandfather taught me that when I was young. And I know it's not his saying, but it's better to talk to a horse's head than its ass. Meaning, if you have something that concerns you about a person, you go talk to them instead of listening to somebody else that's third, fourth, fifth, or sixth story down about the issue, not even remotely close to it. Why would I ask them any questions? If I'm concerned about it, or I think I need to know more about it, I'm going to go talk to the person they're talking about and say, is there something going on that I need to know about? Or can I help you with something? Are you going through a little bit of an issue? And it may be nothing even remotely close to what I was told by Joe Schmo. See, that's the thing with gossip. People add their own twist. And the farther out it is, the more distorted it is. It could start out that, Billy and Jean are having marital problems, but it could be that they had a fight, which couples do at times, to set boundaries. And then by the second, third person, it's marital problems. And by the fourth or fifth, they're getting a divorce. And by the seventh or eighth, they're already got the attorneys involved and the kids are being divided. All because they had a spat one night. You see what I'm saying? So, if you walk away with anything today on today's video, is that there is nothing that you can't overcome. And there's nothing too big in life that you can't take it on. If you think a $200 light bill is the end of the world, be diagnosed with cancer and told you have 2 months to live, what's more important to you? I know I'm not comparing apples to apples. I'm just saying, if you think you have it that bad off, as my grandfather used to say, take a look around and you will find people they've got it a hell of a lot worse that are still smiling and trying to do their best. If that makes any sense. So I'm going to start wrapping that up. I know it's only still 5 o'clock right now. But me and the son and the grandson are going fishing. Today is also opening day of archery for deer, but it's too hot, so we're not going to be deer hunting. So what better way to spend time with family? Let's go fishing. See if we can catch a few walleyes, maybe, some sunfish or perch, what have you. But just spending time together. But I want you to come away with today's video is there's nothing that you can't overcome if you put your mind to it. And if you just need a day off to go do something to distract you from the issue, take it. A lot of times, that's the Lord's way of telling you, go do something else, and instead of sitting there stewing on the problem. If you go do something else, a lot of times, how to resolve it will come to you. I hear so many people that go to therapy now. And I can tell you what therapy boils down to. 80-90% of the time. It's just being able to talk to somebody and them not saying hardly anything at all. And by talking out loud, you're answering your own question. You're answering what the issue is, right? They're just sitting there. And years ago, we used to do that with our best friend, right? Because years ago, I mean, your best friend kept a conversation between just you and them, right? And a therapist is bound by it. That if you whatever you talk about in therapy, unless it's harm to yourself or others, they're bound to secrecy. And sometimes they can kind of ad lib, but so can't your best friend. Because if you're not in the middle of a big issue, you come up with you're a better problem solver, right? And by bouncing it off somebody else that may have been through it before, can give you hints on the way they overcame it. So whatever is hitting you in life today, if you feel like you're overwhelmed, cut yourself some slack. It's not the end of the world. You know, everything is fixable to a certain extent. I mean, if you've just been diagnosed with cancer for 2 months, live your 2 months out, and you're going to a better place, and, we'll miss you. If you have a $200 late bill, sit down, figure it out. Decide what your priorities are. And if your priorities are sitting in the dark at home while you have your cappuccino in the morning and your McDonald's for lunch, is it your answer? Who am I to say it's right or wrong? So on that note, you guys have a great Saturday. We'll probably catch you here bright and early tomorrow morning on a different subject. You guys have a great day.